Call this meeting to order, the regular board meeting for the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District City Link Peoria, or Peoria, Illinois. Today, November 13th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ahart.
Present.
Trustee Sterling Polk.
Present.
Trustee Hare.
Present.
Trustee Knox.
Present.
Trustee McBride.
On phone.
Can I get a motion and a second from the board to accept Trustee McBride into the meeting? So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Nays? Hearing none. And stand for the pledge, please.
Pardon?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item, receipt and reading of minutes, regular meeting for October 9th, 2023. Any questions, comments, corrections on the meetings as presented? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second? Second. All in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Hearing none, motion passed. Next item, the receipt and reading of communications.
We have none tonight, sir.
Thank you, sir. Report of officers and trustees. Hearing none. And the report of standing committees. None. All right.
Sharon did want to do a stuff of us.
Okay. Sharon, do you have something for stuff of us? Trustee McBride?
It does look like she's moving.
Keep moving. Do you?
I
you
have
have anything
it,
you wanna-
I can give you just a brief overview,
Yeah.
but I didn't want it to steal their thunder.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Do you want me to do it?
Yes. Go
Okay.
right ahead, please.
All right, so we kicked off the 36th annual Stuff of Us food drive on October 20th with a press conference at the Kroger on Lindbergh. We had some special guests there. We had a live radio remote from Cumulus Radio, Z92.3, and we also had some special performances by the Peoria High School Band and from Coach Free Cottage Cheerleading and Dance Company. So it was nice. It was a fun event and the weather was nice for it. So that's always a good thing. We also announced that this year we set a goal to set a new record and collect 13 tons of donations on the bus. Right now we're in, I guess, the third week of it. To me, the donations are looking a little bit low, but I think we still have quite a bit of things coming up that are going to help us boost those donations. This Wednesday, we have Calendar Day, where the public can receive a 2024 calendar in exchange for a donation. We'll be at the Transit Center, and they'll also be able to come here to do that. Myself and Marcella Somerville will be on WMBD and WYZZ morning shows this Thursday to promote the Day of Stuffing on Friday and then the Peoria Riverman game on Saturday. And then we do have the 10th annual Day of Stuffing that will take place at the Kroger on Lake from 7 to 1. So if you have any time and want to stop by, we'd love to see you. And we also are going to be having a collection event at Winks Iron Lot, which is a gym that's owned by a CityLink bus operator, Joe Winkler. He's actually been driving the bus quite a bit for some events on the weekend. And he mentioned to me, he's like, hey, we'd love to have my gym involved. So could we maybe do something? I said, yeah, let's do an event there. So on November 18th, this Saturday, we'll be at the gym for 2 hours from 12 to 2. And he's going to be encouraging people to bring donations, and they're going to be offering free guest pass to work out for people that donate. So it's really nice to have that involvement with the operator.
Where's it located?
It's on Adams Street. I don't know the exact address off the top of my head, but it's in the warehouse district on Adams Street. And then this Saturday, like I mentioned, we'll have the Stuff of Us night with the Peoria Rivermen. And then the final thing will be the weigh-in press conference on November 29th, where we'll unveil how much we collected at 10 a.m. at the Peoria Frontier House. So that's what we have going. So far, so good. Hopefully we'll make that goal of 13 tons.
When's the river game again? I'm sorry.
It's November 18th,
Thank
this
you.
Saturday.
Okay,
And
thank you.
that's at 7:15. For people who bring a donation, you'll get a raffle ticket to win a jersey that's signed by the team. They're going to be wearing special Peanuts jerseys on Saturday. And so they'll be donating one of those jerseys and have the whole team sign it.
Thank you. Any questions on the stuff of us?
Great job.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. Okay, next item, the report of the general manager.
Since we have such a short agenda tonight, I thought I'd go into a little more detail on some projects and things we're working on. You got the one on the bus shelter screen, yes. So this is a bus shelter down at Manual High School that had some broken out panels. And you can kind of see, this is supposed to be like an anti-vandalism proof type better shield, I guess. So they got that completed last week. And then I think they've got 9 more shelters scheduled for this week at these locations. Some are missing 3 panels, 1 panel, so they must go together fairly quickly that they can.
The glass ones do, yes, they can pop out.
Good. So it'll be exciting to see how this holds up and makes it more, at least it makes it more presentable anyway. So. Some of the other things that we've worked on in the report were like auditors were in last week, so finance has been really busy with that. NTD report, we got that finished up. And so Shammer and Nick were working on that. And so a lot of those items have been keeping us pretty busy. We did increase the Peoria police officers up to the $50 an hour. We started that on November 1st, October 1st, November, okay. So hopefully we can get a few more of the police officer staff. We'll see how that goes. Next, the organizational chart. Can you put that up there, Chris? All right. So the big things on this was we've got the director of facilities and equipment under the AGM. There'll be a facilities foreman under that position. And we promoted Joe Daniels. He's actually a part-time foreman right now, part-time utility. Is that correct?
He was.
Yeah. And so he'll be full-time facility foreman. There'll be 2 janitors under that position and 2 utility people. So we'll see how that goes. Once we get into the new building, we might have to add an additional janitor and see how we can keep things under control. The payroll administrator is now under the director of HR. We found some issues and they weren't being caught under the previous HR and finance. So I think the new director of HR is more up to speed with more of the benefits and some of the payroll functions, keeping current on that. So I think that'll be a good move. Director of Safety and Training. It's going to have a training and security coordinator. This person will help them out on the training function and also oversee, kind of not really oversee, but make track, keep track of like the hours that our contracted security people are there, make sure they're putting in the hours, and then alerting us when we don't have enough staff down there. So just kind of another layer to make sure we've got the people in place. And then hopefully, as the security personnel is basically our contracted police. And if we can grow them back up like we need, then we'll cut down on the contracted security. So the former grants position in finance, that was basically Martha's duties. They're going to be split between the director of grants and procurement and the finance manager. So basically, Jamie's going to take over all the federal side of it, and IDOT side of grants. There's a few things that Martha did under asset management, and some of those little things that we're going to shift off to Bethany under the finance position. And then last but not least, our complaint analyst, we're going to change to customer experience and billing coordinator. That'll be under Shamra, under the assistant director ops position. Basically, they'll still review the complaint videos, take care of the first leg of our complaint investigation, ship them off to Ken or Steve or whoever the issues are with. 90% of them are Ken's. But then also that Medicaid billing that I've been trying to get in, we're going to have this person work on that function. So hopefully we can get that up and rolling, because I've heard we're losing some rides to Humana. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. But basically, under their billing, they can get free rides, and so we're missing out on that segment of rides. So we'll get that back up to par where it needs to be. So there's kind of a new organizational chart for your review.
Are we ready for questions? You got more to say on this organization chart? May I ask you questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
I count, not counting Mr. Siltman, you've got like 1, 2, 3 new positions? Because your payroll administrator is already existing. You're just moving her from one place to the other.
Yes.
So the facilities foreman, was that a new position?
Yes.
Your
It was kind of a new position, but it's kind of a push position, but yes.
janitors, you have those now?
Yes.
And your utility people?
Yeah, they're already in.
Okay.
place, yeah.
So your training and security coordinator is new.
Right.
Jamie is just changing what she
Taking
does.
on more
And
responsibility.
then the customer experience and billing, she's the part-time person that you have now that never really comes.
Right.
So is that gonna be now a full-time position or a part-time position?
We're trying to make it a full-time position. Yes.
Okay, so my next question is, where are you getting the funds to bring in these new positions? Not that I don't think they're needed, but where is the funding coming from?
So under our budget, we had positioned an assistant for HR, which we're not going to fill. There's always been an accounts receivable position that we haven't filled yet. There was another. Martha's. Oh, well, we kind of split Martha's position out. But yeah, we didn't fill her position. But actually, under the budget, we had enough money to cover all these positions, and we still have a little bit money left. I think one of the other positions was bringing Chris in, but don't tell Chris that. And we're not gonna do that this time. And I was thinking there was somebody else that we had on the table. And under the old organizational chart, it escapes me right now.
Okay, my only other question is when you said about HR, a position that you were not gonna have, I thought that the HR generalist was what you were using as far as the assistant to your HR person. That is not true?
Well, even in the, back in our original discussion, we even talked about an assistant for the HR besides the generalist. And that's a position we're not gonna fill. They don't feel they need that at this time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that was gonna be one of the other positions. But, yeah. Anyway, monetarily, we've got enough money to cover everything the way it's laying right now, with still some money left in the budget.
Okay.
So I will research that and get that to you though, which positions we had on the table and kind of shift them around.
Okay.
One of the other changes we are looking at to make is the administration window hours. That doesn't mean that admin is going to be just open those hours, but for like in-person ticket sales, we're going to move that to 9 to 3:30, Monday through Friday. Seems like there's a lot of people trying to schedule things, and if we have meetings or if we have events or if we have this or that, sometimes the window gets, either people get left out or left behind, and so we're trying to make it so it's more accommodating for everybody. Once we get to the new building, it'll all change again.
I don't support that change because people that are coming to buy those tickets will generally be working between 9 and 3:30. And I guess my point is, what I'm hearing you say is that you want to change these hours to accommodate staffing
Correct.
as to attend meetings. And that to me is bad customer service.
It would be if we had customers, but we don't have that many customers
So
from
why
8
change
to
it?
9 and 3:30 to 5. It's just not a lot of foot traffic.
So why change it? I mean, the way I see it now is anybody can come in at any time. You don't have a designated person sitting there anyway. Isn't there a bell that they ring when they want?
Right.
Okay, so
The
I'm
problem
losing-
is we have, the way it's set up now is that if somebody buys passes, it comes in off the street, it takes like 3 people to sell them a pass. Yes. Because of the checks and balances and all the procedures that we've had in place for a number of years. You gotta have somebody in finance go get, well, you gotta have somebody, first of all, answer the door, come get them. You gotta go back to finance, find a person that can get to the passes. Then that person has to sign off on another person checking the passes to give them to this person, to give them to that person, to get them out the door. It's just a very convoluted practice, and we're trying to streamline it. We haven't had time yet, but most of the people come between 9 and 3:30. Most of the people, if we give them a phone number or want to make an appointment, we'll accommodate them. But just to have people randomly show up, and it's just, and they can go to the transit center to get passes too. So.
I still don't approve. I think you need to streamline the process that it takes to get it, leave the hours as they are. It is our issue that we have, and I feel like as a customer service, which we seem to have issues on anyway, we ought not to change this at if you want to change it when we move to the new building and there's people that are more available, fine. But from now, I would prefer to see them left as they are.
Okay.
But that's just me. We got,
Right.
4 others.
So what's the transit center project? Is that streamlined there, or it still requires all those things?
They can only have so many passes. They all have to be checked out. And they're responsible for their own passes. So if they run short, they have to pay for any passes that they, mess up on. So it's not a very good, in my mind, a very good practice either. There's just too much of a lockdown. I'm hoping when we get our new fare boxes and new fare media, a lot of it will be streamlined as well, but it sounds like that's going to be 6 to 8 months now at least before we even see that. Luckily, I mean, if we're lucky. So anyway. So ridership is going up. The average daily ridership, 4,300 last year. We're up to about 5,100. And that's kind of deceiving because when you mix in the weekends, it drops off to like 1,500 rides a day on Sunday, 3,000 some on Saturday. So we're doing pretty good during the weekday. And one of the things we want to review is our new routes. Since we've had them in place, I think there's still some issues with some of the things we're doing. So we're looking at doing basically a comprehensive operation analysis again. This one will be a little more, it won't take as long, I don't think. Basically, we just want to tweak what needs to be tweaked. So we've got a couple estimates in, one was 40, one was 60. But then we've also been talking to Tri-County, who's had an intern and a planner writing buses, evaluating bus stops for another grant, I believe. And so we might take what they've learned and take their knowledge, give them a little more basis of what we want to see and see what we can do with that. So I think they had one of them off in December, so we might see if we can keep them on a little longer. I'm hoping we'll get a little more driver input and passenger input this time around. And try and make some of the routes a little better. So, when we were in APTA, we did meet with Enterprise about van pooling. This is something we had looked at for Morton. They've got a lot of factories and industry up there that are looking at how to get their riders there. Right now, we currently don't have enough buses. We're better on our driver's side, but we don't have enough buses to go up there. So that's why we're looking at the van pool. And then there's a couple other places that have popped up since then that might be able to utilize it. So this will probably be in next year's budget. We're going to look at some 5339 funding and see how we can make that work. You have those slides on those two vans. So for microtransit, this van, we went in on a state grant. The state was doing a grant for a electric passenger paratransit van. We're going to get 2 of these. We're really not sure where we're going to use it at yet. We're going to see how it'll work in the paratransit fleet. It's got a 150-mile range. I think Angel's a little nervous about how far we can get in a day on that. So we might try and use that on our microtransit. We'd switch it to the rear load, but we might run a couple of those around for piloting a microtransit thing. I'm not sure how soon we're going to get any of these. We're notified like July that they got the award, but so far they haven't even bid them out yet, so it could be another year and a half before we see these vehicles, so. There'll be freebies anyway for us. With that, Shamron and I went out to visit the Northwoods Mall people last week, trying to find out a way to get back on their property. They've got a new manager, but they still had the old complaints about, tearing up the asphalt, leaking oil, disruptive passengers coming in. Some of it's justified, some of it's not. But while we were out there, they were telling us that the Sears building is for sale. And I'm thinking the auto store, that they'd sold that. So they're trying to sell us the whole Sears store end. So it's like 130,000 square feet. So I got Brad working on that, trying to find out what it would cost us. Because the good side of that is Sears owns the roads in and out on that end. So then we wouldn't have to worry about the mall kicking us off. We could get in and that would be our problem.
But you mean they're offering us the entire inside building of Sears?
130,000 square foot.
What we use it like
What
a,
would we
like a-
do with it?
yeah, transit center, like another transit center.
We'd have a little space there, but then, yeah, we'd have to sublease or sell
Oh,
most of it. Yeah.
because they already got rid of the auto park place. Oh,
More square footage in the building with that perspective for you. That's huge.
So probably something we're not interested in, but we're gonna look at carefully. And then for the my finale, I don't know how much I've shared with you about a few of us, 4 of us went to a meeting. There was a company in town. They were looking at building battery electric buses, looking for a plant. And they came back at a second time, but then the conversation shifted to wondering if we were interested in piloting some of their vehicles and getting some of their vehicles into the United States, and basically Peoria being a place for them to try their vehicles out. And so it's been a slow process. Well, actually not as slow as that, because we started this summer. But so they finally gave me an offer on what, I've talked to FTA, I've talked to IDOT, and we can't use federal or state funding on this, so it all have to be local money. But then there's also the loophole that I'm talking to IDOT about, is they couldn't even use our facilities because that is all financed by state and federal funding. So they're trying to figure out what they would let them do. But so far, it wouldn't be us buying the buses or paying for any buses. It'd be just for the mechanical and the chargers and some technology advice. So, but when I send them an email, it takes like 2 weeks to respond. So it's a very slow process, but we have started some negotiations. But I did get one back today. But I did tell them that somebody would probably have to go to Taiwan to look at their, what they're offering and what their setup looks like to even see if we're interested in getting involved with this company. So that one is one we're working on. The one thing we do like about their technology is you can charge a bus in 20 minutes. Right now it's 5 to 6 hours. So where they have this technology and how they've got it working is what we want to find out. So they were showing me a diagram. I showed up one time when we were meeting and how they can charge the whole, well, not the whole New York bus fleet, but like one of their yards, that they can't do it in 5 to 6 hours of charging, but in 20-minute charging, they could move vehicles around and basically be just like fueling them. So that's kind of where they got the hook. 20-minute charge. There I rambled to take up some time. So anything else? Any questions, concerns? We'll leave the customer service alone.
Are we doing anything
Thank
else
you.
with microtransit? I mean, are we doing anything else besides the proposed buses? with
We're
microtransit?
looking for funding right now. That'll probably be something else I put in next year's budget. I'd like to move it forward. I'm gonna try move some stuff around. See if we can get at least a pilot started. So, one of the big issues was before that we didn't have enough operators to do it ourselves, so we were looking at contracting it with another entity. We might take a step back and see if we can bring it in-house.
Well, good. Questions, guys?
I just have one quick one, which is not anything you talked about. Have you heard anything else from TransDev after we said no to that?
I went out to coffee with him the next day
Yes.
and basically shared some emails that he hadn't seen yet. And so and then I met him at APTA and talked to him a little bit. And so he's rethinking how he wants to approach us.
My other question, if you have an opportunity, how many of their other customers have they asked this up?
Okay. I know they have got money from other customers,
Okay.
but I don't know the numbers, but I'll ask.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
All right, next item, the new facility update. Beth.
So we have Tazewell Asphalt installing asphalt at the alley, and the alley's opened back up last few days. Any Finch removed concrete, A&J Electric poured their Dutch bank down over at the wash bay. Western is continuing to move forward with east and west elevation panels. Tobin continuing to install fixtures throughout, looking very nice. A&J Electric dropping lights and running conduit for cameras. Pipco's installing diffusers, gradient panels, and setting tanks. And then Pipco, their sub base 2 is pulling control wiring at the IT closets. A&J Electric, their sub KCOM is pulling data wiring to the second floor, working on fire alarm. That should be bedrock throughout, painting throughout. Quality of rectors, setting lockers, sorry about that. Carpet weavers installing tile throughout, very nice. Right way, finishing up walls and installing ceiling grid all the way throughout. RCC has been setting casework throughout, and also working on safety lane. Is working on the lift control installation. Owner training was supposed to be tomorrow, but that has been pushed due that they were sick, so they're going to reschedule that. Budget updates, no changes to the GMP. Currently 73.48% complete. And then total gross bill to date is for 32 million. Yeah, 30 will be submitted at the end of the month. So overall schedule, so obviously I updated the phase B being 73%, but for phase D, I went ahead and marked out the May to June 2024. We did meet with TK. We have some positive. They may get installed, both elevators starting December and then be in January. The only caveat to this is that their wiring package was bought out internally, so they may have a delay there. So we may have elevators, we just may not have them up and running. So hopefully they're up and running by May, but we may not see them up and running for a while. So I did want to at least update you that we may at least see them coming. So, other than that, pretty quick today.
Okay. Thanks, Beth.
We do have a video.
printing.
It's like, okay. It is, it's like, that's exactly what I watch, and I will do those.
We just speed the video up so it doesn't take 20 minutes.
It's like a throw up. It's a-
Yeah. You have motion sickness.
You know what, I'm golly.
Don't look, just look away.
We'll also start to get appliances in the next 3 weeks, and then Wednesday, our contractor for the furniture selection is gonna be on site. We're gonna do a walkthrough with them. Picking desks and couches and all that fun things.
So the videos we send usually are what, 5 to 7
Yeah.
minutes, I
Yeah,
think.
for about 5 minutes or so, so I've sped it up to about 3. 10.
You might be able to share the link maybe with you if you want. to
Yeah,
watch
maybe
it.
once the full video, we always share those out.
Yeah, tell Kate next time we don't have to see this.
He's very thorough.
He is very, thorough. He gets every word.
No kidding.
Ceilings.
But anytime anybody wants to go over and look at it,
Absolutely.
I know that you're much different than what it was 4 or 5 months ago.
this room's about ready to go, right?
It is. We are supposed to be meeting with the city. We still have not heard back yet on the 20th or 21st for them to do a walkthrough for temp occupancy main area. Still pushing to get that date and time confirmed. Hopefully before Thanksgiving.
So it works out. The week after Thanksgiving, we'll start to move.
And our contingent plan is if they do not approve occupancy, at least let us park in there if the temperature is cold. So we have a plan A and a plan B.
Workers out start to finish. Feel like it's- Love it.
All right. Thank you, Beth. All right, next item, the report of Transdev General Manager. Is she on? Angel? I don't see her on there. Oh, you know, there's a 224, 2286. Angel.
Must not made it.
No?
She is the 224 number.
She could be driving.
That is her, the 22422.
She's muted. What do you want to do, sir? Move on?
Unless you have any questions for us.
No, anything? Good. Okay, moving on. Next item, the public comments. Thank you.
What,
Oop, oop.
What? what's this letter? If it's not communications or if it's not public comments, the letter that we
Did you
got.
discuss the complaint letter?
the
Yeah,
one-
for some reason, 3 of you got this complaint from this individual. It wasn't mailed to everybody.
Okay,
We did look into it. She doesn't have any modern technology, so we have to communicate by mail. But from what we can ascertain is that our customer service rep that she was talking to had the wrong bus. And that's why we kept missing her, because she kept telling dispatch to look for this bus, to look for this person, and she had the wrong bus. Had she given them an address to look at, I think they would have solved it, got it taken care of. Finally, one of the schedulers looked into it and said, no, that's the wrong bus, and that's, so it was kind of a big deal.
My only comment on this, because, you know, my background is communications, customer service, is that we need to make sure all of our employees are customer focused, and I'm not sure that they are. So I'm asking that in some form or fashion, as we move forward, that you have some kind of training for everyone so that they know that they are supposed to be sensitive to customer needs, not just flip them an answer to get them off the phone. So that's just my request as we move forward into 2024.
Next item, new business. The 2024 Greater Peoria Mass Transit District board dates. Go to manager.
It's in the packet.
So before you, you have the board dates that we tentatively plan to use next year. April 8th is still in the air, depending on how many people attend the legislative conference. But the October conference is not in jeopardy this year, so we only have one date. So.
Is it October? Is that a different date for APTA?
Yeah. They changed some things around on a lot of their dates, and usually the one in the legislative usually is in conflict with March. They moved it back to April. So.
Questions
I think
about
the
that? Sorry.
transport is in September this year,
What is?
like the last week of September.
We vote on this?
Yes, if you want.
Okay. Any questions about the board dates 2024 as presented? Make a motion to accept
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
One who approves and without any corrections, say aye. Any nays? Hearing none, motion passed. Next item, the financial report, October 2023 board bills approval. Sherry.
Good evening. I see I'm the last thing on the agenda, so I'm standing between you and your dinner. I won't be long. Our total monthly operating expenses for the month came in at 3.6 million, and it represented 9.28% of the annual budget. This percentage is 0.74% less than the monthly projections. Just to kind of go into some of the categories with regards to our vendor spread this month, that's good in terms of how we distribute our business across the vendor base in our community. Vendor normalcy also looks good. There were no out of the ordinary vendors. It's always good to keep an eye on that as a measure to ensure the legitimacy of the invoices that we're processing. Transaction normalcy looks good as well. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Likewise with the transaction volume, it was normal. And that's just looking over the last few months that I've been here. There have been no spikes in the transaction volume. It remains normal. Looking at your capital expenditures, we're sitting at a robust 1.7 million. Those expenses are comprised of the admin building roof replacement. And I believe for that one we used Premier Roofing. And that came in at about 36,000. And then also for capital expenditures, we had some Muller invoices, and those totaled about 58,000. And then finally, we processed the big one, which was River City Construction, and that was payout number 28, and that came in at about 1.6 million. So we'll be meeting with them tomorrow also to process payout number 29. And that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
I have a question. Are the percentages of the operating expenses pretty typical? Like, I don't know, the one that stood out was like materials and supplies.
Right, we processed several Proterra invoices, and those were for the electric bus vehicles, and I believe the electric vehicle charging stations. So that came, and that's what caused that to increase just a little bit, but it was due to that.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the financial report for October 2023?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahart,
Approved.
trustee Polk,
Approved.
trustee Hare. Approved. Trustee McBride, trustee Knox approved.
Motion passed. Next meeting will be Monday, December 11th. If no other questions or comments, gonna get a motion to adjourn.
I have a comment. I just wanted to thank Steve and Nick for the bus shelter.
Long time coming, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for hanging there, getting it done. Appreciate it.
Great.
Dennis,
Sorry,
great.
you can
Yeah,
slam
good
it down
job.
on that.
We're down 60 more to go.
Thank you.